I'm James.
And I'm Dan.
We're the RAGAMUFFINs.
And we love live music, so we like to hear what people's idea of a perfect gig is. Today, we've just spoken to Brad West of Against the Sun.
They are a Californian hard rock and metalcore band that recently released an EP called Truth's Wake, so be sure to go and check that out. We spoke with him with his Dream 4 band lineup and his love for butt rock music, so check it out. So we're here with Brad West, singer and guitarist of a Californian hard rock and metalcore band Against the Sun. Thank you for joining us, Brad.
Dude, it is my absolute pleasure to be on here with you. It's been like a year and a half since I've met you guys online.
Yeah. So
finally getting to talk.
A long time in the making, I think. And yeah, it is really nice because I think as soon as we got your music kind of sent across to us, absolutely loved it, and just kind of seeing how it's all transitioned from then till now has been really, really cool. And yeah, like as soon as we were kind of like getting into doing all of this and starting to get interviews with people, we knew like straight away you were pretty much very high on the list of like, okay, we got to do something with them for sure.
Appreciate that, man. And which one is the Wonder Years fan?
That would be me.
Dude, oh my God, their new record is so good.
It's mad, isn't it?
It's ridiculous. I loved the video because I thought the exact same thing when I listened to the new record. I was like, wow, this band is kind of like grown up with me. And then lo and behold, like a day later, you post that video. And I'm like, oh, these guys get me. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm glad you agree. But yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's almost like it's advice for me that I'm going to need at some point in the future, just not yet.
Yeah. For me, it was, and I shit you not, I was like, teetering on the edge. I've been debating it for years over whether or not I want kids someday. And then I like listened to Wyatt's song and I watched the documentary and I was like, all right, fuck me. Like I'll probably want a kid someday. Like, God damn it. Like it was just, it's
like the Wonder Years are setting out your destiny and your path. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to have to do that now.
Yeah, legit. Like legit.
Soupy said that I should do it, so I'm going to do it.
I do everything Soupy tells me to.
He's always felt like he's like an uncle that doesn't know about me or something.
I've always wanted but he like knows my head. Yeah. They're just I don't know. They're freaking great. I got into them on the Suburbia record, and then just like stayed with them for forever. And I loved the No Closer to Heaven record. That's probably my favorite one they've done. It's not my favorite production, but like it's my favorite songwriting that they've done. And they've just been killing it like since. I don't know, that this new one, it felt really good. It felt like their best record or their best thing that they put out since No Closer to Heaven. Not to shit on Sister Cities. I liked it, but you know, yeah.
Yeah, Sister Cities took me a long time to kind of understand, I think. Like I first listened to it and I was like, it's good, but I don't get it. And then I've kind of understood it a bit more. And I think it's maybe the same with The Hum. I love it a lot, but I think a few years' time I'm going to listen back to it again and be like, oh yeah, I get this now.
Yeah,
like I turned 26 this year, so listening back to The Greatest Generation, hearing Jesus Christ, I'm 26, I'm like, yeah, I am.
It was so creepy when I watched that video because I had the literal same experience. I also turned 26 this year.
Yeah,
and I had that same realization, and I was like, God, is this what time is? Fuck, you know.
Right, so you've got 4 bands then that we'll start going through in a minute, from opener to headliner, and then hopefully like a dream venue that you'd like to have it all happen at.
Yes, I didn't think about that part. So
sorry, you got time. You got plenty of time.
You can think of that as we go along, I guess.
Think of that as we go along.
For the band, how long are we imagining these set lists to be?
You have complete control.
Oh, don't let me do that.
We had a friend come on recently and do one, and he gave us like, you don't have to do this because he was unique with it, but he gave us the most specific set times when he wanted to go and have food breaks. But you've got complete control over the set. Like if you want a certain album played in full, if you want just a certain songs, if you want to hand select it, if you want to give it to them and they can choose it, you have the power for whatever you want.
Oh man. Okay. All right. Thank you. So much pressure.
I'm sensing you've got a lot more to think about now. Now that you've got more power than you thought you did, you're like,
I'm just gonna bumble fuck my way through this. That's
cool.
What it's gonna be.
That's absolutely cool.
That's right. Every single one we've done, everyone's kind of brought their own thing to the table and had their own interpretation of it. So
okay, sick.
It's all your thing.
So to kind of start it off nice and early before we get into the actual lineup, what was the first gig you ever went to?
Oh, it's super embarrassing. I went and saw the Tubes at the Coach House in fucking San Juan Capistrano. The Tubes are a garbage ass 70s rock band with only one hit called White Punks on Dope, which is not that bad of a song. But the fucker was like, who's the singer? Was it D. Snyder from Twisted Sister, right? Is that his name? Okay, so this dude was like a discount D. Snyder, and he went through like 10 different costume changes. But yeah, that was my first concert. I think I was like 8 years old or something like that.
Some standout memories from that then.
What was the standout costume?
Oh, dude, he had like this cardboard. It looked like something a third grader would make in class, but he had this cardboard chrome TV head thing that he put on. It was a decent night at the Coach House, which is a pretty small bar. So like, for 30, 40 years later from their peak, they're still able to do that. So, I mean, good for them, but man, it's just not my kind of music, but that first show. So
you've got to start somewhere.
Everyone starts somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Everyone has that one gig they wish they could say is their first one, but it's actually something else.
Yeah. Mine's super lame.
So should we get straight into it? Who's your first band? Who's playing first at your perfect gig?
Okay, so I thought long and hard about this. So mine aren't going to make as much tonal sense, but they're just my 4 favorite bands. So everyone there is just going to have to suck it. We're going to start off with the most musically different one of the group, which is my favorite pop punk band of all time. Because as much as I love metal and metalcore and hard rock, I love pop punk. And that's got to be New Found Glory. I think New Found Glory is objectively the best pop punk band like of all time. Like I love Blink, I love Green Day, but I feel like they've stylistically have gone in different directions, which is cool. But like New Found Glory has been like pure pop punk for like 30 fucking years, So
what initially drew you to their music?
When I first heard their music, I didn't like them at all, actually, because I don't know like how familiar you are with New Found Glory, but that singer is the most nasally singer in the universe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just all in here, right? And like at first it just totally turned me off. But the original bass player of Against the Sun, it was my good friend Jennifer, like we would just play video games, and I think through assimilation or through like cultural osmosis, she would just play New Found Glory all the time. So I kind of just got inundated with it. And then I like sat and listened to the lyrics, and I kind of got over the voice, and I was like, oh, damn. Like it somehow captures all of the fun and the angst of being a teenager and being young and whatever, but still has that like extra layer of depth to it at the same time.
Yeah.
Not everything that they make is a banger, but I don't know. It's just like, I don't know. It just hits, it hits the perfect chord within me, I guess.
I suppose you've got some good memories tied to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's ever so slightly like, because they came from the hardcore scene as well. So they'll have like little breakdowns that are kind of influenced by hardcore and whatnot. So it always felt like there was a little bit of an undercurrent of heavier music in there that you just don't quite get with like Blink or Green Day or something like that,
Have you had the chance to see them live before?
I have seen them 3 or 4 different times live, and that's the other thing, is that they absolutely fucking crush it live. The most recent one I saw them was on the 20th anniversary tour of their Sticks and Stones record, which is my favorite New Found Glory record. It's everyone's favorite New Found Glory record. Like I think it's their best one. And they just played that album in full, and I was like,
that's cool.
Fuck yeah, like let's go. So it was super awesome.
What specifics would you have for their set list? If you got the chance, you could say, I mean, you say you've seen them at that anniversary show. Would you want that played in full? Would you want something a little bit more diverse and mix up through the different albums?
I would like something a little bit more diverse and mix up through the different albums. So there's going to be, I mean, obviously like all of their big hits would be awesome. Like My Friends Over You and Hit or Miss and stuff like that. But also when they played the Sticks and Stones record in full, I loved that they were able to play some ones off that record that, might not usually hear, like The Story So Far, which is really cool. They dropped an album in 2014, which is around the time that I got into them. So I'd love to hear stuff off of that, like Selfless and Resurrection and stuff like that. I saw them on their tour for that record, and they played a decent amount from that record, and that was like really fucking sick. And then if you know anything about them, though, they also have this side joke band called the International Superheroes of Hardcore. Okay. And they all put on like bed sheets and like stupid fucking costumes and play like hardcore songs. And if they could play like a handful of those as like a side thing, I would fucking die.
That's fine.
Maybe like an intermission thing in the middle or something.
They just walk off and come back on.
Yeah, like, oh, thanks, that was Newfound Glory. And then they like go and change their costumes and they're like, there's International Superheroes of Hardcore, let's go. And like,
you've done well there. You've almost snuck in like a secret fifth band into your lineup there.
Yeah,
I like that.
Sneaky I am.
It's clever. So to take a break from band one, we've got that locked in. To talk about Against the Sun, you've recently released Truth's Wake. You've kind of had a lot of singles leading up to it. Was that always the plan to have those kind of a couple of months coming out, or did it kind of naturally feel right that they should all come together in a collection for the EP?
Yeah, honestly, there were no plans for the EP at first. Like, we just planned on doing these all as singles, because just the way that like the music industry, especially for small artists, is structured nowadays, it's like it feels like the EP or the album is almost dead, which I hate to admit, because like, you know, we're all music fans, we like EPs, we like albums, that's what we grew up on. But in terms of like, as an emerging artist, like, you need to be in front of people's minds all the time, which means you constantly need to have new stuff being released. And so releasing everything as singles really helps with that. Plus, if you're pitching to like playlists, you can't really pitch an EP to a playlist. You can pitch a single, right? And that kind of helps a lot. So at first we weren't going to release the EP at all, but we kind of talked about it and we thought, you know what, like, we have people that are getting into this project because of one song. They're like, oh, they really liked Undone, or they really liked Falling Apart, or they really liked whatever. And so now they like us for that song. And I'm like, well, it'd probably be a good idea to put them all in one package so that they can, hopefully it's more likely that they'll get into the other songs and they'll be more familiar with the range of music that we can make. Because our songs are like, as you guys know, because you've listened to basically all the ones that have come out over the year and a half, we write stuff that's like very different from each other, right? So yeah.
Was there any reason why One More Time and It Should Have Been Raining were left off the EP? Was it because they were a bit too different to the other songs on there, or?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like, you know, I love pop punk, and back in the day we were much more pop punk influenced, but now none of the other guys are really into pop punk that much, and like, we're just moving stylistically so farther away from that. So as much as I love those songs, we were like, you know what, that was cool, that was a moment in time, that was what we were at the time, but now we have to like move forward, you know? And the stuff we're looking forward on the horizon is just increasingly getting more and more heavy and more in the metalcore direction. So, you know, like a happy, like, you know, One More Time chorus just doesn't quite fit anymore.
So we've had your first bands. We've kicked it off with Newfound Glory. Who is following up with them on your perfect gig?
All right. Second coming up is the band that like was my gateway band, was my favorite band growing up for a long time. It's got to be 3 Days Grace. If anybody, I know that like for people who are into heavier music, they shit on this, but like my favorite genre ever is like hard rock, like butt rock, basically. Like I love like Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, Chevelle, Seether, like that is my shit. So and as much as I love the new 3 Days Grace singer, I want the original singer in there. I'm adding Adam Gontier from 3 Days Grace. He's actually my favorite vocalist in the entire world, and he's the reason like why I got into music. Like I watched the Animal I Have Become music video when I was like 11 years old, and I was like, oh, like, you know, it's the TikTok audio where it's like, oh, that's going to be my personality for the rest of my life now. Like, okay, like that's just it. So if they could just play like a mishmash of their best songs from the first 3 records, I'm good. Anything they made after 2009, I'm like, whatever. But Those first 3 records, lightning in a bottle, gentlemen.
So was it purely just hearing his vocals that just pulled you into their music and just drew you as a fan? That was it?
Yeah, well, that, and I'd say like the dark atmosphere, you know, like, and it's not like super dark or brutal, but for an 11-year-old kid, it was dark and brutal.
It's like you said, they're almost like a gateway band to get you into, to kind of just dip your toe into the water of something a bit heavier.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, for me anyway, it was like listening to stuff like 3 Days Grace or Linkin Park or whatever like that. Like I had a really rough childhood growing up. I had a lot of people in my family suffered from like substance abuse and whatnot. And a lot of these bands were talking about those things, you know? So when I put on these records, it was like, someone understands me, you know, like someone understands like what I'm going through, what the people in my life are going through and stuff. And Adam Gontier, he struggled with an Oxycontin addiction. And so their record 1X, he wrote in rehab, trying to get clean from Oxycontin. And so it's just a really big theme on that record. And I'm not like novel in saying that that's definitely their best record of all time. And that's the one with all the hits on it. That's the one with like Pain and And Will I Become and Never Too Late and stuff like that. So definitely connected with the themes and connected with his voice for sure. I mean, I think that guy just has the best vocals ever. Are you guys Alice in Chains fans?
No, I haven't delved into that much.
I know of them. I know a few songs, of course, but
okay. Well,
never got into them.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good, but they have a song called Rooster, if you know that one. And Adam Gontier does an acoustic version of Rooster that's like sends me over the moon. His level of like grit he puts in his voice is incredible. And me as like a 12-year-old kid was like, why can't I have that level of grit in my voice? You know,
so would you have him perform Rooster live at your gig?
Oh, fuck yeah. Absolutely.
Maybe close up that set.
Oh my God. I would die.
So, you're just picturing it there straight away.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to finish out the rest of this concert and then I could die, but yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my second.
So kind of with the release of Truth's Wake, it feels like the band's kind of been building towards this for quite a long time. It feels like quite a poignant, defining moment in the career of Against the Sun so far. Do you guys view it as a similar kind of thing as well? And where do you go from here? You mentioned a bit of kind of heavier influence in some new stuff.
Yeah. So it definitely feels like a punctuation mark on an era, I guess. It's like a nice summary of like, this is everything we put out in the last like year and a half, 2 years that we feel like works really well together. And I think we finally like developed this nice balance of sound between a little bit of the pop punk and lots of melody and making it really melodic, but also keeping it heavy with the screams layered in there and getting some breakdowns in there and stuff like that. Again, we're moving more and more towards the heavier direction. So for example, like next year, almost half the songs are going to be predominantly screaming. Like there's only going to be vocals here and there. Yeah. Like, so we're getting really into that space, which is really fun. And I think next year, you know, we know we're going to put out a full release next year. So It's not going to be like, we're going to put out a bunch of singles and then maybe we'll do whatever. Now we have like a game plan. We like, okay, this is going to go here. This is going to go here. This is when the full release is going to drop. And the one thing for me, because we kind of developed this year's plan as we were going, there wasn't really like a new song on the EP drop. I mean, there was a redone version of Falling Apart, which is an old song, but you know, 5 of the songs had been released as singles beforehand, which is cool, but also not as cool because when the EP drops, there's not as much like new music for people to enjoy. So next year, we're definitely going to make sure to like save some songs they're going to be brand new when the actual full release drops so that people have something new to listen to like when they check it out. So that's the goal.
Awesome. That's exciting to have that kind of like plan in place now. You can look forward and have that structure and know what's happening and be excited for that and to be able to release it as well.
Yeah, a lot of it is just like not knowing what the fuck to do and then like learning as you go and then learning like, okay, that worked, that didn't work, whatever. And now I'm less of a dumbass and I know how to do things a little bit better now. So that's, you know, it's part of the learning process.
To switch it up a little bit lighthearted and to make you think a little bit, what was the first album you ever bought?
Dude, that was Van Halen's first record.
Why? Well.
Because Van Halen fucks, dude. I don't know what to tell. Like, Van Halen is sick. I know. My dad had showed me a little bit of Van Halen, whatever, and I think I don't know why I bought the very first record, and because I was told by someone it was their best record, and holy shit, I think that album is absolutely amazing. I mean, it's like, you know, it's such a historical moment in like rock and metal music, you know. But Eddie's guitar playing just phenomenal. You know, David Lee Roth's, like, not his vocals, but his performance, so iconic, you know, and I thought that those choruses and those songs were super fucking catchy. To this day, I still like it. Not as much of a fan of the misogyny in the songs. That makes it a little tough to enjoy them, but as far as songs go themselves, like, man, that album still rips.
Do you think musically it influenced you at all?
I don't know. I think like having an appreciation for like really technical guitar playing. I think for one, I mean, you listen to Eddie and you're just like, God, he's a master at this instrument, you know. And as like a young guitar player, that probably influenced me a lot. I never got as good. I still can't do like the Eruption solo or shit like that. But it's maybe I don't know. And then I think for me anyway, as a vocalist and as a songwriter, having a catchy hook is just like the most important thing that I can contribute to a song ever. And if I can make a song that you can sing along to and that is memorable and that sticks in your head, that's my goal. And I feel like they did an amazing job at that. So.
Awesome. Well, we're flying through this. We're already on to band number 3. Who have we got? Who's the sub-headliner?
Okay, so another butt rock band. So this band I didn't get into until I was in college, but I think now I can say they're my favorite band, which is Breaking Benjamin, which is not like novel at all. Like Breaking Benjamin are like the kings of butt rock, basically. But I know for a lot of people, they're another one of those like gateway bands. But I don't know, for me, just I know that like the joke is that they write the same songs 50 times over, but for me, just the sound that they achieved, Breaking Benjamin, the sound that they achieved is just perfect. I don't know how else to describe it.
If it ain't like, broke, don't fix it. Just
I don't know. He's
do
like,
it again.
He's not like the best singer in the world, like as far as a technical perspective. And it's not so much about his voice as much it is about, I love his lyrics, I love his melodies, I love the way his melodies interact with his chords. I don't know. I think he's like my favorite songwriter of all time. So I would want a nice little smorgasbord of playing all of their best songs from all their albums. I mean, of course, you get the regulars like Diary of Jane, whatever. But like, love to pull out their old shit, play some So Cold, play some Polyamorous. Like, yeah, I think he's been, I think, the most consistent songwriter like over these decades.
Have you had the chance to see them before?
I've only seen them once because their tickets are fucking so expensive. It was like $130 to see them. And I was like, God damn. Yeah, it was really, and the other thing is that, so the singer Breaking Benjamin, like for the first 3 records, he had a crippling, like alcoholism, and he would only write music when he was drunk. And like, it was really, really bad. Even I love all that music, but still. And then he, unfortunately, because all of his drinking, he has a degenerative brain disease. Like he gave himself brain damage from all of the alcohol that he consumed. And so he like can't sing super well live because of his like brain disease. So they're not even necessarily the best like live band, but I love the song so much that it doesn't matter because I'll be singing all of them so loud that I probably won't even fucking hear them anyway.
It's your perfect gig. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I have seen them once. I've seen them. They played with 3 Days Grace and Chevelle, which is like so fucking rad. I mean, that was great lineup. The only fucking bummer part was that it was at an amphitheater where the only like standing seats were the pit seats that were like ridiculously expensive. So I had to like sit in the stands, and I was like, this is not music to sit down to.
You gotta be up and moving.
Yeah, and I was looking down at the people in the fucking pit, and there wasn't even a mosh pit, and I'm like, fuck you guys.
I could do this better.
Yeah, I could do. Yeah, exactly.
I can speak to that. I can't do gigs sat down. I have to be up and moving. It's just
like, why would you?
The music speaks to me, and I've got to move, and I make other people move.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same way. I mean, if I'm at like a jazz or a country concert, then fine.
Different vibe.
Like, I'll chill, whatever. But like for this kind of music, like, yeah, you got to be up and moving. And I'm not even like the biggest pitter. Like, I'm kind of small and frail, so I can't be in the pit too long, or else I'll probably die. But I do need to get in there, and I do need to headbang and shove around a little bit. You know,
that release you get from it, that cathartic kind of feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've spoken a lot before about the local music scene, how bands help each other, collaborate, and like, what do you think is so good about local music scene? Are there any like local bands to you that you think deserve more recognition, and like, why should people go and support their local music scene?
Absolutely, because it's the only like way you're gonna get anywhere, basically. I mean, for one, it's great to like just meet friends, you know, and like meet great people. We have this thing in LA called the LA Rock Collective, and basically it's a bunch of different LA bands that just go to each other's shows, share each other's music, like fill in for each other if anybody needs a fill in, feature on each other's tracks. It's just like this big collaborative thing. And the idea, exactly, yeah. And the idea is that like you go to these shows even if you're not playing, because in LA and probably in a lot of other places, I'm sure I don't know how familiar you are with the model of like pay to play or not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So like it sucks, right? And I hate it, and everybody hates it. So the idea is like you go to everybody's shows so that we have a guaranteed draw of like 100, 200 people, you know, so we don't have to pay to play. We have a guaranteed draw, and then people invite their friends and they build out, you know, they kind of build out from there. So, it's a really great community. Some of my favorite bands in that collective, one is Chasing Desolation.
That's a great name.
LA based. They are so fucking awesome. They're one of our really good friends. Carry the Day is another one that we play with all the time, and they're absolutely fucking sick. Those are some of my favorites. It also just like, it's fun to like get to know musicians just on a personal basis, and you talk and you learn things from them, and you write together, and you just like grow as musicians, but also you just like grow as people, you know, and I don't know. It's just it helps. I think it helps you progress, and it also like helps keep you sharp as well. Like if you're not interacting with people of your same caliber, I feel like you can kind of get stagnant, you know? So like you kind of have to see someone else who's a peer of yours do something better than you.
Yeah, you kind of push each other.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're like from the almost the opposite side of the world. We've met through social media. So I guess how important is it nowadays as a band to have such a strong social media presence to get your name out there and accrue more fans, I guess?
It's everything. It's absolutely everything. Everything is TikTok nowadays. Like I look on our fucking like Spotify data, and if we have a TikTok that does well the day before, our numbers go up, and if we don't, our numbers go down. Like it lives and dies. It is the most effective way to get free new listeners than anything else out there right now. Is TikTok. So if you can make engaging content on there that actually features your music, and you could develop a fan base, it's easier said than done. Then like, I mean, you absolutely get rewarded. And we're seeing like all the big art, like all emerging artists now that are getting signed, unless they just know someone, they're getting big through TikTok basically, you know?
Yeah.
So it's really important to have that. I'd say like, unfortunately, it's probably even at a small level, it's probably even more important to do well online than it is to like play in your local scene or whatever, you know? I mean, that's just the reality, which I hate, because I'm not a big social media guy. I honestly fucking hate it, and I had to learn it for the band. And if I wasn't doing music, dude, I'd never fucking use social media ever in my life. But it's the world we live in.
I was going to say, how do you find managing that and knowing that you need to do that? Have you kind of got used to it? Has it just become a part of your schedule? Is it still a bit of a slog sometimes? But obviously knowing the outcome could be worth it. How do you what's your relationship with it, and how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I had to learn a lot. So I think the best piece of advice I got with social media was like, don't create, just document. right? Like just capture them. Like if you're out there building a career and doing cool things that are worth sharing, then you don't have to work as hard to like manufacture content. You just have to like capture what's going on in your life and then just share it with people, right? And so like I don't necessarily like sit down each day and it's like, all right, like what TikTok am I going to make? Like I have like 30 to 40 different TikToks just saved on my phone ready to go at any given time. Because I just like stockpile content for forever, you know? And that's how you do it, you know, you'd make it in batches. So it has become a part of my like regular schedule. Like every day I know, okay, I got to share something on social media. I got to interact on social media. And like at first it was really, really tough because it feels like you're just banging your head against a wall. But every so often, like you step back and you look and you're like, oh, okay, there's the growth. Then you're like, okay, well then it's probably fucking worth it. Yeah, it's worth it. But at the same time, like, the thing that I have to remember too is that like TikTok at the end of the day is a dancing app for children, right? And like I'm trying to do like metalcore music on a dancing app for children. So like if something doesn't do super well, like it's okay, right? Like this is, you know, like I'll post TikToks about the music that we've spent months recording and all this money and time, whatever, and it'll like do whatever. And then I'll post like a fucking thirst trap and it'll do like amazing, and I'm like, all right, fuck me, I guess.
It's annoying, isn't it? We often find some of the stuff we put the least effort into is what does the best.
You can't predict it sometimes.
No, you really can't. And at the end of the day, just give people what they want. You know, people want thirst traps. Just do it.
So, we've had Newfound Glory. We've had 3 Days Grace. We've had Breaking Benjamin. We've had a lovely gig so far. Headlining your perfect gig, who is closing off the night?
You could probably fucking guess. It's Slipknot, baby. It's Slipknot. They're just the best band ever. They're the best live band ever. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. Like they're the best. I saw them. I've seen them. God, like 4 or 5 times live now, and I don't care. I'll see them 50 times. I don't give a shit. Like they're just incredible. They kill it each and every time. If I hadn't have seen them at Knotfest in 2019, I think I would have said, you know, I want them to play their Iowa album in full. But I've seen them do that. So I've seen them do the Iowa album in full, which was fucking incredible. So that's my favorite Slipknot record.
I am insanely jealous that you've seen that. That's my favorite record of all time. I love Iowa.
Dude, it's incredible. It's a goddamn masterpiece. It is the best metal album of all time. I don't give a shit what anyone says. Like,
you got someone who agrees with you right here. Genuinely.
Yeah, dude.
I could easily just leave you two to it now. I might just.
No, dude, and they extended the song Iowa. They extended it to like 20 minutes, dude. 20 fucking minutes
of that.
Dude, the interlude was like, oh my god, the fucking build up for the Wall of Death when it comes in after the interlude was oh my god, it was incredible. And then just everything just smashed in right when it was beautiful. But then of course you get songs that you don't necessarily like hear all the time. Like, I don't know, like they never really play like My Plague anymore. Or like Everything Ends or Disaster Pieces or anything, you know, like they'll play like People Equal Shit and Left Behind sometimes, but like that's all you get off the Iowa record basically. So it was incredible. But since I've seen that already, honestly, like I wouldn't mind a full album playthrough of their first record, to be honest.
Ooh,
I think that would be fucking killer. Because I know, like, some of the really early stuff, like, some people don't like the rap elements as much, but, like, I think it's fucking sick. I think their rap and hip-hop elements are awesome.
You say that straight away, and I'm like, only one comes into my head. And I'm like, I would love to see that live, because I think that would be really interesting to kind of go from, like, Corey's first verse in that.
Yes.
I'd love that.
Yes. And even some of the, like, really weird shit, like a song like Prosthetics, which is, like, really fucking weird, you know? But, like, come on, in a live setting, that would be so cool.
Throw it back to like the old era of like Sid setting Corey's legs on fire and everything, and
weird
old vibes.
Yeah, I saw them most recently. It was funny. It was at the same venue that I saw Breaking Benjamin at, but I was lucky enough to be in the pit this time, so I was right up front actually. And I had never ever seen Slipknot so close, like literally right up front seeing them. Like it was insane. I will say the one man on that stage giving it his fucking full effort was Tortilla Man, dude.
Yes.
That guy was going for it. Like
we saw him download 2019. I was literally third row from the front of the barrier, and he was like everywhere, all across the stage. Just you could see, especially like it felt like as the newest member part of there, he's got to make his mark, and he fucking did it. He was there straight away. My other standout is, I don't know if he did it with your gig, but V-Man with the flamethrower on his bass.
No, what the fuck?
Yes, he went and stood behind Jay, and literally was just like playing his bass, and there's a flamethrower shooting off of it. Again, the production levels.
Dude, that's ridiculous. That's so amazing. It's also like so cool to see these like fucking gods, like, you know, like Mick and Jim are fucking gods walking this earth, and seeing them with like my own eyes right in front of me and watching them play guitar was just like not worthy, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity then, what was your reception to the latest album?
Dude, I hate to say it, but I really did not like the latest album. I liked Adderall a lot. I loved that song. And I liked Medicine for the Dead. And that's about it. But what about you?
I struggled. It's grown on me, I think, with repeat listens, but I don't know if it's just my affinity for Slipknot. Like, I think Chapeltown Rag and Hive Mind and Yen, I think, stood out most for me on the album. It's never going to be like, I think, ever their best record, because I don't, like we said, that's been done. And kind of like we touched on earlier about albums and EPs being like a dead format. I've reached that point, I think, with Slipknot where maybe you'd agree as well. I kind of just need a few singles every year now. Just something to add to the set list. I don't need full albums. So I think going into that already, like knowing their set lists are pretty much fantastic how they are, give me one or two new bangers and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like, it will grow on me with time. I think it'd be cool, like they're headlining Download over here next year, so we're all going to go and see them for that. So it'd be cool to see some of these new songs live, but yeah, it didn't really land properly for me either.
Yeah, it's so interesting because sometimes I'll think about, you know, they have like really long periods of time in between albums, and sometimes I'll be like, why does it take Slipknot 6 years to put out a record? But then sometimes I'm like, maybe that's not such a bad thing though. You know, it's like you kind of not forget about them, but they're like, okay, they're this thing over here, whatever. And then when they put out a new record, you're like, oh yeah, I remember how amazing Slipknot is, right? Yeah. And then you kind of go through that cycle. But like, yeah, for me, this record just lacked a certain like fidelity that was present on some other records. So like after I got done listening to that record, the first song I put on afterward was Sulfur. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I'm not crazy here. Like there's something wrong in this production. And then I put on Sulfur and I was like, yep, I'm not crazy. Like there's just a certain level of crispiness that the guitars have on all of their other mixes and everything that is just non-existent in this album. It feels like it's just 95% there, and then the last 5% of magic is just kind of gone. Like none of the hooks are very interesting to me. None of the parts are super memorable. And this is coming from someone who absolutely adored We Are Not Your Kind. Like I loved that record. You know?
Album. Yeah,
like it's not that I'm not like one of those Slipknot fans that like, oh, I only want them to, you know, I know that the band like was upset and was like, oh, people just don't want us to experiment. And I'm like, no. I'm fine with you experimenting. Like Spiders on We Are Not Your Kind, my favorite Slipknot song in a long time.
Such a nice creepy vibe.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I don't experiment, guys. Just like make it good, you know? And none of the songs to me are like bad on the new record. They're just all kind of like mid, and I'm like, I don't listen to Slipknot for mid shit.
No,
you know, I listen to Slipknot for greatness.
Yeah, to me, a band like Slipknot needs to either be doing what they're already doing but better, or like you said, innovating and experimenting and doing something completely crazy and completely different. But I think on the new album, they didn't really do either of those things. They just sort of did what they were already doing, but not as good as they've done it before, which I guess just makes it a bit underwhelming.
Yeah, it's almost like they shot themselves in their foot, you know, like they set their own bar so high that when they don't meet that extremely high bar, like for any other band, this record would be great, right? But it's not great for a Slipknot record, you know, and that's the point. So yeah, that's just me though. But I really like Adderall. I think it's a fucking killer vibe. I think it's super, like, you would never expect that as an intro to a Slipknot record, no. Ever.
Not at all. Not in the slightest. It does throw you off, but then that's the weird thing because you have that experimentation straight away, and then it's kind of back to most of the formulaic kind of sound that you get, and it's like, oh, we kind of had this tease there, but then you didn't really follow through with it.
Yeah, it was just like, I was just listening to these parts and these beats and these riffs, and I'm like, okay, yeah, like it's a Slipknot song. Like I've heard it. Like it's it's what it is. But regardless of the new fucking record, I think the only song they played from the new record on the most recent gig was I think it's called the Killing Song, right?
Yeah, the Dying
song. Yeah, the Dying Song. That's what it is. Yeah, that's the only one they played off the whole record. So
to bring it back to Against the Sun, your most recent single that you released from the EP Truth's Wake was Leaders. Quite a political kind of topic in there. Do you mind just kind of talking us through that a little bit, why you wanted to kind of speak about it and like the message?
Yeah, dude. So, I don't know if you noticed, but there's this dude in American politics lately that we don't like very much. No, I mean, it's basically like, I wrote it about like this like MAGA movement that's going on like in America right now. I don't know how you guys stand politically, but like I don't like hate Republicans at all or anything like that. I could definitely work with Republicans, but like I can't work with these freaking MAGA people. Like it's just, I mean, there's just like a blatant rejection of truth and like not a respect for like democratic institutions and democratic norms, and this tendency towards right-wing authoritarianism is just like it's not good. And this is coming from someone who worked in politics most of their adult life, and I kind of like saw it on the ground, and I was like, God damn. But at the same time, we're not like politically a monolith in this band. Like some of the members do lean conservative, and of course I lean definitely the other way. So, but we all have like a really healthy suspicion of like concentrated wealth and power and authoritarian like states in general. So in that sense, we're all kind of lean more like libertarian-y. So, we're all really critical of like a heavy police state and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. I hadn't like written about politics for the longest time, but I finally figured out a way to do it in a way that I think isn't cringe. So you'll probably get more of that in the next year.
That's what I was about to ask. Is it a theme that you think will come up again in songwriting in the future? Yeah,
definitely. I mean, like back in the day, starting this band, it was like, every song was a sad song about a girl. And like, not to shit on sad songs about girls. There's amazing songs, but also like, yeah, there's some fantastic ones. Like that's my sad boy shit. But at the same time, like as an artist, it's really boring to write the same song over and over and over again. So like, you got to kind of expand out a little bit. And now that I figured out a way to write, now we're writing about not just politics, but like philosophy and literature and art and like just a wider array of like themes and subjects. And it's a lot more freeing to write about all those different kinds of things,
It feels like Leaders also has some strong influence from another Orange County band called Avenged Sevenfold.
Don't know if you heard of them. But growing up in the UK,
they seem huge to us, but what's it like with them almost being a local band to you?
Oh, dude, they're huge to us too. They're like titans of rock. I mean, it's cool to think about that they were like local here and stuff like that. But yeah, they're gods as well. We're all, obviously you can hear it, we're all huge Avenged Sevenfold fans. If I had any other member of the band on with me today, one of them you can guarantee that any one of them would have picked Avenged Sevenfold as like their dream band to perform. Yeah, they strike. I think they strike a really cool balance between that heaviness and that melody that we try to balance as well. So yeah, Leaders has Avenged Sevenfold in there. Leaders also has a lot of Tool in there. We're all really big Tool fans. And it just has weird prog parts where we're like, sure, let's go from like 7/8 to 6/8 to like 21/8. Let's do it. Like
let's fuck around with these time signatures.
Yeah, like who gives a fuck? Which was really fun. I'm glad that we did it. And I think for people that like are music nerds and maybe know a bit about music theory or play an instrument, I think those people can really appreciate, I think, the song a lot. So yeah.
So we've found out your perfect gig. We've had Newfound Glory, 3 Days Grace. Breaking Benjamin, and Slipknot. The final part for it is where is it taking place?
Shit. Okay.
You can choose anywhere. To give you reference, we've had Madison Square Garden, we've had Roman Coliseum, we've had Download Festival. It can be anywhere. It could be your back garden if you really wanted it.
Dude, it would be so cool to like see this not on the sand, but like on, oh man, dude, on a boat. Let's get it on a fucking yacht in the middle of the ocean. Let's do that. A fucking giant yacht, water all around, sick ass light show, fireworks and shit like that. Yeah, let's put it on a goddamn boat. I remember, didn't Slipknot, weren't they going to have like a Slipknot cruise or something like that?
I was going to say, this is like Knotfest at sea.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
Perfect.
that would be sick as shit. I've never been on a yacht before, but I assume it's really fucking fun.
I mean, I would be there straight away, immediately.
It would be incredible. That'd be sick. I think, didn't they have to cancel that for COVID, right?
I think they did, yeah. I think they cancelled that. We were meant to be going to see them. They were going to do their first Knotfest UK. That got cancelled. So hopefully they come back and do that. So I'm jealous that you've been to a Knotfest as well. But hey, I'll come to this Knotfest to see that you've set up.
Yeah, dude. It's Knotfest at Sea Part 2. Let's go.
Well, that's a killer lineup. An absolutely incredible gig. Absolutely love the EP. So everyone please go and check out Against the Sun's Truth's Wake. It is fantastic. By the sounds of it already, there's going to be some great new stuff coming out next year. So be on the lookout for that. And yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on, mate.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Again, it's been a long time coming, and it's awesome to get to hang out with you guys, and we'll do it anytime again in a heartbeat.
We'd love that.
Yeah, we'll have to do it again for sure. This was fun.
Sick, guys. Well,
cheers, man.
Thank you so much.
So that was Brad West for Against the Sun. What did you think of his perfect gig?
Bloody good. I mean, I'm sold on the headliner alone.
On a yacht.
On a yacht to see Slipknot.
Fantastic. No rhymes as well. Nice.
Exactly. Fantastic. Some great bands on there. It was lovely to chat with him because they've released some fantastic music recently. So definitely go check them out. And yeah, look forward to what they've got coming out in the future.
And we'll be talking to more people about their perfect gigs very soon. So stay tuned. Subscribe.
Hit that button. Press it.
And let us know your perfect gig in the comments. See you soon.